Hey, we're out here at the Gunwerks training facility. Today we're going to talk about tripods. Most people assume that a tripod is just for spotting or glassing, but it's actually become a standard part of most of our kits. We actually do a lot of shooting off them as well. A good solid tripod can salvage a situation where maybe terrain dictates that you can't get prone. We can actually get pretty good use out of a good solid carbon fiber tripod. Today we got our new Revic Stabilizer Series Hunter Tripod. A nice solid tall tripod with a Arca dovetail mount. We can do all of our spotters, our binoculars, and mount our rifles too. We can mount a rifle clamp too, do a lot of shooting off of. So we'll go through a few of those scenarios. All right, shooting in the field, we're always going to prefer shooting off of a bipod, shooting prone. Sometimes maybe you left your bipod in the truck, didn't bring it with you. You do have a tripod with you. In that case, tripod can go prone. What we're gonna do is drop the legs all the way out, completely flat. Now we can get down prone. Of course, this gun's got an Arca rail mount, so we can just drop the gun right into it. And one added benefit of it is now we have lots of movement, both vertical and horizontal, with this ball type system. We can get behind the rifle, nice and stable, and take a shot. Everybody thinks about using a tripod for a spotter. A couple key features about a tripod that we really need to address is a standard mounting system like an Arca Swiss rail. It can mount on the bottom of my Swarovski spotter. Also, I can run a set of binos on it. So I've got an Arca plate on my binos right here. We can tighten that in. And then a nice 5-section leg. We can get tall enough. Me being a tall guy, I kind of need to get a little bit taller tripod. I can stand this one all the way up, and then I can use it for spotting with binos. One of the situations we run into a lot, we get into these cross canyon shots and high angle stuff. We don't always have a flat spot to sit. So a lot of times we're shooting off a pretty steep side hill. When we have a tripod in our kit, we can lay out forward leg on the tripod pretty long, and we can bring back 2 legs. We can get this on a very steep side hill, very comfortable, very stable shooting position. I can bring my rifle over, mount it on the tripod, and go seated. Now, this is not going to be as stable as, say, shooting prone, where we can get out to, say, 1,000 yards. But sitting behind a nice solid tripod, we can be comfortable out to, say, 600 or 700 maybe. Similar to the side hill shooting scenario, we've all been in a situation where we're on flat ground and the vegetation dictates that we cannot shoot prone. In that case, we're going to set up the tripod, spread all 3 legs out equally so we have a nice stable platform. Get it to a comfortable sitting height. We can mount our rifle in here, and then we can shoot over the top of the vegetation. So what happens if you don't have an Arca Swiss rail mount on your rifle like this Gunwerks Magnus does? A couple other different options. We got a mount like this one from Hog Saddle, clamps the rifle fore end. We can clamp it in place. And then our rifle stock will grip here. Same thing. Now, we don't have either one of those. There's the third option, which will be a shooting bag. So we don't have this Hog Saddle on here, we just have a bare head. We've got a Game Changer bag, sits on top of there, nice and flat. We have super long mounting surface, so we can just set the rifle on top of the bag and shoot off this. This is a situation we're gonna run into in a lot of competition shooting scenarios, because we're gonna have to be moving around quite a bit. We don't want the rifle clamped to the tripod the entire time. They have to be immobile. When shooting seated off a tripod like this, we can get stable to a point. Maybe we can get to, say, 300-400 yards with just the front support. If we want to extend that range, we're going to need something in a rear support. So typically we'll take our hunting pack, bring this over, I'll put it underneath my arm. I'll use it also as a rear support for the rifle. Now I have 2 points of support, both in the rear and in the front. Again, nice long platform here, as stable as we can get it. Now maybe I can double that range, again, being out there in the, say, 600 to 700 yard effective range. Sometimes we can't get to a seating position, sometimes the vegetation won't allow, or maybe we have physical restrictions that won't allow us to get down that far. We can still extend a leg one more here and go to a kneeling position. We're gonna be looking for a rear support. This is not gonna be as solid as a seated position, but maybe we can get down on one knee, kneeling, and then support with the elbow. Maybe we again can get to the pack, use that as a rear support. We can still make a shot at a reasonable range and have a reasonable support in the kneeling position. And as a last resort, we can go all the way up into a standing position. In this case, the legs aren't going to be splayed all the way out, so we're not going to have as wide, stable platform. But we can get high enough to get above any of the vegetation. If we can see them standing up, we can shoot at them standing up. Shooting from our standing position is going to be the least stable, but still effective to, a moderate range. Say maybe we can take a shot out to 300-400 yards if we have to. What we're going to want to do is get a wide base, spread our legs out as far as we can. We're going to want to bend over at the hips, lean into the tripod. So we're going to try to lock out as much potential muscle movement as possible, lock out the elbow. So with my offside hand, I'm going to be gripping on the tripod. I'm going to pull the rifle stock back into me a little bit, steady everything up. There's going to be some wobble here, but we can try to minimize it as much as possible. So if I can get that down to, say, half MOA of wobble or something, I can still take a shot out to maybe 300-400 yards on a game head. Using a tripod for shooting is going to open up tons of shot possibilities that you may not have had before. Those scenarios where you can't get comfortable, can't get on a flat shooting platform. It's going to make you a better hunter. It's going to make you more effective in the field and being able to take those shots. We've designed this Revic Hunter Tripod, kind of meet the needs of what we do for both shooting and glassing. Feel it's a pretty good blend of both. If you have questions, give us a call at Gunwerks or check it out at gunwerks.com.